Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
There we go.
Yeah, I see your.
Yep. So now we have some British pound news here.
That's a big deal. That's not little news.
Yeah, there's monetary policies and official bank rates, things like that. So we'll keep an eye on the British pound. As far as the strength meter we have British pound is strong on 3 of the 4 time frames. The 1 hour, the 30 minute, the 15, and the 5 is about in the middle of the pack. So we train to the strength of the British pound, and that's at 8 o'clock. That's another 25 minutes. So we'll see. We may get some movement on that. Looks like we got some movement overnight too on some of our pairs that we were looking at or may have been in. Any of you that are in Gearbox or in Drawdown, you probably had a little bit of reprieve last night. Not much, but a little bit. And let's see. We train to the strength of the Swiss franc. So if we get a British Swiss, we'll be trading to the strength of the British pound and the weakness of the Swiss franc, weakness of the New Zealand dollar, and I say of the Australian New Zealand dollar, will be trading to the weakness of that as well, and pretty much to the strength of the dollar, strength of the euro. So let's go to the charts and see if we have any alerts coming in. Change my screen here. And it looks like we have an Aussie CAD alert. Let's take a look at that one. Let's see, make sure I got the latest ones here. Check my charts to make sure I have everything on the 5-minute or 15-minute that I went to. And there's one that's not. We'll change that one. And we'll go to the Aussie CAD. That should be over here somewhere here. So we have an Aussie CAD alert that was 15 minutes ago. Here is the alert. Here's the, looks like we're in an uptrend. Nope, we're in a downtrend. So we're in a downtrend. So we have an up arrow. Right there is a contra trend trade. We'll mark our arrows on this one. We're in a downtrend. And that would be a contra trend trade. So we're going to probably pass on it. And we are looking at the weakness of the Aussie, so we don't want to be trading that long. We'd be looking at, looks like came up, did bounce about, and looks like this thing could actually be going back down. This could be a little bit of a Fibonacci move, actually. If we draw from up here to down below, we have a 62, a little bit better than 62% pullback. We had the we really didn't, this is probably going to be a little bit of a fractal high there, but let's take a look at some fractals here. I think those are worth looking into. Indicator.
Yeah, it's a newer thing that I started looking into, right?
Yeah.
Fractals, and I think they bring value.
Yeah, I think when one of the things we're looking at is if you have a fractal in the zone, it usually reaches the other zone. So here we have a fractal in the green zone. We'll keep an eye on this one. I mean, I don't want to take it. It's this contra trend, and it does have more of a Fibonacci pullback of a 78, almost a 78% pullback, which is a little bit more of a pullback than I prefer to have. But we do have a little bit of a downtrend, and we'll kind of watch that and see if it finds the rule with or the theory of the strategy is that fractal go in the green zone. As you reach the end zone, the other zone, fractal in the red zone, as you reach the green zone. We'll just see if that works. If it's with the trend, that might be some real value there. But right now, I'm not going to trade that. and just see how much room we have to the upside here. Here was the fractal, and actually that was a up candle on a basically a neutral candle. That green candle that generated the arrow was actually kind of neutral. And we'll go back up here to, that's only 10 pips. So there again, that's still a little weak on the range. We're looking at basically a 30 pip range in total of the whole move. So we'll pass on that one. CAD yen, we'll take a look at that one. We did say that the we really didn't say much about the CAD. CAD's kind of in the middle of the pack, so that's no real clear direction on that. We have, looks like we may be in an uptrend with a down arrow. Definitely uptrend. Definitely a down arrow. Contra trend.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning, CB.
Hey, good morning.
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 And let's see here. So here's a down arrow. We're in an uptrend. Mark that. Arrow up. Arrow down. And you can see that right now, I can see there's not going to be 10 pips to the zone, so we're going to pass on that one. It's only 4 pips to the zone. And let me go put some more fractals on here. Actually, what I need to do is make a template for it. Lines, indicators. Williams, fractals. And let me just make a template for this. Template, save template. Oops, I didn't want to save that totally. Oh, there we go. It's just a little slow. And I'm going to just name it the fractals arrow with fractals. I don't want to get too much stuff on our charts because it just starts cluttering things up, and then it's not as much fun to look at them. But I think these do have some value in a little bit. Here's the fractal at the top, and we'll see if it comes down to the bottom and reaches the bottom here. We are in an uptrend. Had the fractal down below in the uptrend, made the next zone. So this is something to just keep an eye on. And it's just a good point of where a turnaround point may be. If you have a Fibonacci retracement, you could probably use that fractal as that turnaround point for the retracement factor. But no trade on that.
That's a good point.
British CAD. And over here, British CAD. Let's see. Ooh, that's a big move.
The British pairs just went to the moon yesterday. They just went all over the place after that news event.
I know a lot of people are in drawdown with Gearbox. I think a lot of it has to do with the CAD pairs. It is starting to dig its way out a little bit. We got a little bit of reprieve last night. I'm just, my mind is just be patient with it and just let it dig itself out and try not to look at it too much. You have your protection in there. You have your method of how you're going to trade it, and just sort of stick to that and try not to change your ideas and your methods in the middle of a stream.
How high would it have to go to get out of some people's drawdown? Probably have to go up another 200 pips or something.
Well, it depends on how much money they have and how many positions they have.
Good point.
So that's different for everybody. But all the more reason to keep your position sizes well within tolerance of what's prescribed. Don't take any more. If you have $1,000 in your account, don't take more than 0.01, and don't take more than one pair. And then just keep on building from that. And that way everything stays somewhat proportional.
Bingo.
And let's see here. So we're on the British CAD, and looks like we are in an uptrend. See if that holds. Nope, we're in a downtrend. Downtrend with an up arrow. downtrend, up arrow, and we will spread it out a little bit. See how much room we could have here. Let's do one more. And so this would have been the entry, and the target would have been up close. Again, this would be contra trend anyway. And again, you're almost to the target. That's 17 pips. That's not really too bad. Have a nice little pullback, but we are in a downtrend. It did break through yesterday's money zone, which is over here. Let's take a look at that. Let's put the 173.52, call it. Here's the top of yesterday's money zone, which is this one of the strategies to break out of the previous day's money zone. So here's the top of the money zone. We did get the breakout above it. We got the alert. Again, this is contra trend. And you're better off in just sticking with trades that are with the trend. You're going to probably have less anxiety trying to see if it's going to materialize for you.
Yeah, and higher probability as well.
And higher probability.
Yeah.
Okay, why doesn't that not? Did my screen just freeze up? I believe it did. It's not doing anything here.
Yeah, you froze up.
Maybe it's my mouse. Let me see.
That's surprising.
That may be my mouse. Nope.
No.
It just froze.
Hmm.
There we go. Let's see.
Is it back?
There we go.
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah. We have some stormy weather coming in today, supposedly, so that we may have some internet interruptions here. That could have been part of what that may be. Mm-hmm. 357. There's the alert. There's the breakout. There's the alert. It is contra trend. We are above the moving averages. I think I'll still pass on this one. It's even though we do have room to the upside. We may take a look at that one a little bit closer in. That's British CAD. And we do have news coming in about another 10 minutes. So, in fact, we have some news coming out in another 10 minutes. That's a definite. I'm going to wait until after the news.
That makes sense.
So, even though it doesn't look too bad for an up move right now, I think I'll still pass on that. No sense fighting the issues.
Yep. I concur, my friend. I concur. I do like it to the upside. I think it's going to go right through that zone.
Think so?
I think so.
Let's see. Let me take a look at it through the eyes of another viewer. This is British CAD.
You see how on the 15-minute you have higher lows, higher low, higher low, higher low, and then we're just higher highs and higher lows.
It is sort of trending up. Yeah, higher high. Here's a low, higher high, higher low.
I like how it reached. I like how it reached down and made a lower low before it broke to the top like it did. So, but we'll. I'm gonna patiently wait and see what.
As I'm looking at the last several days, it looks like it's more an uptrend than a downtrend to me, though. As I look at just the charts on the last several days, let me see.
Well, it had to consolidate, Al, because it's taken there's a really large move to the left there, not too far.
Here we go. Here's the British pound. Here's a daily chart on British Canadian.
See that huge drop? So it had to consolidate. Kind of like getting its energy back.
And to mute my mic so I didn't cough on everybody. But here we have, it looks to me like this is actually in the last, oh gosh, since December 11th. I'm thinking this has been in an uptrend since December 11th. That tells me, and that's contrary to what we were just looking at as being in a downtrend. Now, from 15 on a 15-minute chart, then I can see where that might be the case.
Oh, Al, entertain me. Go back to your daily chart. Put a Fibbo on it. Find out what that retracement is.
From here to here, retracement.
Yeah, it looks like 50%.
Let's put a straight Fibbo on here. That's pretty
61?
much 60. It's right at 62% on that wick, just about.
Oh, yeah, that's random, right?
So yeah, so that's
Come
a
on
nice little
now.
retracement. So this actually could be starting to turn around to go into an uptrend. I can see where you might think that this is on a daily chart. Now keep in mind, we've been looking mostly at 15, but if you look at it from a 15-minute standpoint, it isn't a downtrend from a 15-minute standpoint, but from the overall bigger picture, it's in an uptrend.
So this is where when people say specific things like, oh, it's breaking trend or something, well, you have to make sure that we specify what time we're talking about.
Right, because as you can see that any downtrend is really going sideways in another trend. Like from the higher time frame, it's now really going sideways. It made a new high, it made a new low. Now it's trending on down, but it's still inside the box, the bigger box, so to speak. And it's basically only pulling back 50%. So you've got a nice little strong drop here, a little wick, a little wedge. You got a little wedge right in this area. Now we're talking a daily chart. And now we're going to take this little wedge area, this little box right here from, this was pretty much March 10th. We're at this was last week. So from last week, we had a low, a high, a low, higher, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. But you can see each time it has a pullback. So this is where you have your little A's right here coming down. And now this thing could be starting to come down, forming a W. Right at the base. Pardon me.
Oh, you're fine, Al.
I have to put up with that for this morning here. It's been a little bit.
No, you're okay. I'm just concerned about you. That's all.
No, we're fine. It's just allergies. So, but I'm looking at this is a nice little pullback. There's a nice little drop. See how strong that drop is, right straight down, came back up, retraced. Now we have this is basically that little retracement inside the bigger retracement. So let me take this one off. And we're going to narrow this thing down a little bit here. So now here's my new box right in this area. Now we're in a downtrend with the strong pullback. And this pullback is really about 40% pullback. So this does have room to the downside. And you can see that the Canadian dollar is the second currency of the pair. It's the orange tab right here. So right now on the 15-minute chart, the Canadian dollar is now stronger, taking over the strength of the British pound. British pound you can see where they had the little crossover right here is where the crossover happened. And so this is our new box, new playground. So I'm going to draw a box around this. And we're just going to keep on scaling until we find out something that looks like we can maybe do something with it. So I'm going to take it into a 15-minute chart. Make it a little smaller here initially. Slide this over.
Yeah, I've noticed that the VPS has been working significantly better.
Oh, good. That's good to hear.
Yeah. Even
I haven't been having any issues with it lately.
No.
That little glitch here just this morning, that might have been
well, that could be anything, right? That's tiny.
But of course, if it's widespread, then we know it's more than that.
Like I'm
And
pushing
let's
the
see.
limits of Aero version 4. I'm running it on 4 VPSs on one, 4 MT4 instances with all the charts on it on different time frames, and I'm not experiencing very much lag.
That's good. That's good. And as long as it keeps working for these sessions and for everybody else watching the sessions, that's a big plus.
Right.
Maybe they got the situation fixed.
Yeah, they did some enhancements on the code so that it was more VPS friendly. It was using less resources, so.
And you can see, this was on the 15-minute chart, this was a downtrend. And now it came back. Now it's really basically going sideways. It's in the sideways range, pretty much between these two Fibonacci lines right here. And so it came right up to the top, up it's retesting this area right here. This is where the pullback was. And I look over here, and that pullback was right at just a little bit. If I was to go up a little bit higher, it would be a 50%. Right here is what I do. This is the Fibonacci retracement, and this is the way I use this one. I just pull it back up, and then I read how much of a retracement was at the bottom of where I drew the first line. So this little move from here to here, all the way up to here, would be a 38% retracement of the down move coming down.
So
And
Al, if you were to consider taking the GBP CAD trade, what would you need it to do? Would you need it to break a wedge formation at this point, or would you?
Yeah, it's kind of forming its own little wedge right now at the end of that, from that bigger 15-minute down move. It actually formed a little wedge down. Right now, this is the wedge of the down move, but we're looking at it from a bigger time frame standpoint.
It's breaking to the downside.
Yeah, I'd be looking for it to break to the. I'd be looking to play this thing to the downside with a strong move down, 38% retracement. I'd be looking at it to come down this way, and we're starting to see where the pound is still maintaining some strength here. So I probably want to see a little M pattern up here at the top to signify that we've actually reached. Now, I'm looking for trend lines. I'm looking for price points that I could draw a trend. And I'm looking at, I like to see where the playgrounds are. And so this is a strong move down, came back, retraced, came back down, flattened out, came back, retested this area. So this area right here, which is being retested, this little pullback, nice strong move down, came back up, rejected. So there's some sellers coming in right around this area. Came back, some of the sellers got chewed up a little bit, but right now this little pivot right here, I'm looking at as being a significant breakthrough. So here's a wick. Come on over here, find the body. I would say if it can break this wick, it's probably going to go on up a little bit.
Hey Al, if you throw yourself on the 1 minute chart, you'll see that it's just gone down about 7-8 pips already.
Yeah, that's one reason why we didn't want to take that long.
Yep.
We were in a downtrend.
Bingo, bingo, bingo.
But it was a 15-minute downtrend, not a higher time frame daily type downtrend.
Yeah.
So you can see where this thing's being rejected. But this is a little box right here. If I look at my 15-minute chart, I come over here to where I started.
Oh, you're on one.
Oops, thank you. So that looked a little bit big.
There we go.
On my 15-minute chart. And you see, look and see where, okay, here's where the price was. So we know it got up that high. Come over to the left, and I can see where, here is the last pivot high that it broke. And if I look over to the left, as I expand this out, if I look to the left, all I do is, I don't see any more wicks anywhere. So this is going to be the bottom. This is where the last retracement came into. And then here's where the top of the next. So this kind of is right about where, once we get it closed above this wick, it's heading for this zone. So did we get it closed above that wick? Let's take a look and see. Here's the wick. And I come over here, and did I get it closed above that wick over here? Well, not, it attempted here, not yet. Here it closed above the wick. This is the next zone, and right there is where this is where the fake out was. Came right on up to the top where that body of that candle was. So look at where this white line is. Check this out. It came right up to that white line. Why did I draw that white line there? What was the significance of that? Come over here. Well, that's where the body of the first candle from the last wick, this was as high as I ever got, came back over, and you see no wicks. You come up to the top of the body of the candle, and that's where the sellers are. Yeah, it came right up to that. So this is a significant area or a higher time frame chart. The higher the time frame, the more significant it's going to be. And you can see where it just came right up to that, and it just rejected it.
Here comes the GBP news.
Oh, there it is. Okay, and this is one reason why I didn't want to be taking this thing, especially to the long side. And so here it is.
Yep. You can see the market reacting right now.
You can see right now the Canadian dollar is just now gaining strength over here. It's coming. Here's a reaction to the news. Let's mark the news where the news.
Check it on a lower time frame, Al. You're really going to see that big wick come out of there.
There's the opening of where the news was. Here's our 1 minute chart.
Got a doji on the M15.
Look at that.
Look at the drop of that. You can see why you didn't want to be taking the advice of that up arrow on that.
Bingo.
Now this is where those things, these little things like the news announcements, and just understanding where you are in the big scheme of things, in the bigger picture. Are you in a downtrend? Yes, you are, but are you in the downtrend of a higher time frame uptrend, or vice versa? I mean, every time frame has its own little story to tell, and that's why it's really hard to say. Well, I want to look at the 1 hour chart because I'm on a swing trade, but I got an up arrow on the 5 minute for something else, and all you're doing is you're starting to mix apples with oranges, and it doesn't always work out. I mean, sometimes you need to have that. You know where the strength is. Right now, the strength is in this downtrend, the down move, even though this was and like I said earlier, we drew that Fibonacci, and it was a downtrend. We drew the Fibonacci pullback, which was right at the 62% pullback, and now the target is probably.
Ooh, look at it go! It's
just tanking here.
Yep, it faked people out.
The news all came out just as forecast, for the record. I'm looking at Forex Factory. Everything came out just as it was forecast to be.
Hooey, look at that thing, man. That's like 20 pips on a 1 minute candle.
Yep.
That is a pretty boss move. And then look, it's retracing again. That's too much. That's too much for me. I don't like those kind of moves. You still there, Al? We can't hear you, man.
Yeah, he's on mute. You're on
Oh,
mute.
there
Al.
we go. There we go. Thank you.
Yeah, I was about to.
So here's the anchor. Here's the.
Oh, look at
here's-
that bounce. Look at that bounce. It's going to come down and tag that trend line now.
Now, see, this is going to be a real valid trend line. And you see that this bounce right here is pretty, it didn't break this pivot by much. It didn't really break this. So we have a trend line, a flat trend line along here. So let's take a look at this. There's a flat, here's an anchor, here's a hit, rejected. So this is an energy point right here. And so if it comes back down and breaks through this trend line, the energy point here makes me think that this could be a trap.
I'm looking for a long, Al.
Well, I think this has the potential of being long. Now the Canadian dollar is still showing strength. Again, we're on the 15-minute chart. It's not strong by a whole lot, and there is a little bit of a battle going on. And I said this was a news reaction to a news announcement.
Yeah. I would not be opposed. Now this is not arrow strategy or nothing, but I would not be opposed to taking a bounce off of that trend line.
Yeah, I think that's I would be waiting to see if it does a little break, come back down, and if it pass and check. If it does a pass and check and comes back in there, yeah, I think it may be a good place to maybe, because it is in the overall uptrend of the higher time frame, the daily time frame.
That might be worth our time.
Yeah, but this
so
is
let's
a little
very close attention to that.
Yeah, but right now there's a channel. Here's your upper channel.
Yeah.
Here's your lower part of the channel. And now you can actually draw a Fibonacci inside the channel. Let's just do a straight Fibonacci inside the channel from the top bar to the bottom bar, and see where this thing will come down. And right now it's in the probably lower. This is probably 23.6.
Oh, is that reversed or?
Well, I can do it the other way. This doesn't really make much difference.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm not used to that.
I don't usually use this. Usually I use the retracement tool, but
I get you.
so right here's basically here's our channel.
Oh yeah,
and
that's
right now
deep.
it's coming into the lower 25% of the channel. The channel being this slowly trending upward channel that we could expect from the slow trending of the daily chart. So as it's, and you can see where the, let's see if I can get another Fibonacci on here. That may help to. This is some technical analysis, guys. I'm going to put the 23.6 on here. There we go. There's the 23.6. So we have this is the top 25%. And just from here to here's the top 25%.
How low will she go?
Well, this is our supply zone. Bottom 25% is our demand zone. And so right now it's straight. Now, if I were to wanting to be taken along, I would be taking it into the zone, and I have my stop down below over here, below here. But I want to see some confirmation. When you get this strong move down, a lot of times you get that strong move down right to your target area, and that's where you want to take your trade. This is actually looking very good for a long trade to go up, be with the daily trend, and it would be this could be a really good trade. This could actually be a nice trade. This could be a swing trade as opposed to a scalping trade. We've done all the assessments. We know we're in a higher time uptrend. We know it's trading inside of a channel. We know it was rejected at the top 25% of the channel. It's coming down to retest the lower 25% of the channel. And now I would like to be seeing some sort of a flag pattern in here. Now, if I just get like a flag that looks a little triangle pattern that comes, oh, let's just say it goes from Get a pattern that looks a little bit like this. That would be a little flag pattern. If we get a pattern that looks like that, at the end of this strong move, then I'd be looking at it going down lower, breaking down the bottom. If it doesn't, if it gets more of a flat bottom and a descending top, then I may be more apt to be looking for a breakout of the top of the wedge, retest it, and then take it on up to the upside. So from a bounce off of here, I don't really see it break the trend line. Let's be right about in here. Maybe have a little bit of a small little channel. Then I go too deep because I don't want it to break this bottom here. But we'll just see. And you can see this, you can see there's a wick right in here that's been rejected. See that wick? That's a strong rejection. It penetrated the zone, lower 25%. Now the buyers are coming in. Here's your wick. And we'll just wait and see how it plays out. That's what we're looking at with that. So enough of that for right now.
We just got a down arrow for GCAD, or at least I did.
I did not get one.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what, Al? I'm on M5. Sorry about that.
Okay, all right, there we go. But I said we do like this. We are in a 15-minute downtrend, and that's a 15-minute downtrend inside a daily uptrend. So when you get the lower time frames having the strength, that to me is just a pullback or retracement as it's continuing the uptrend on the daily chart. If I go to a daily chart on this, we probably will show this in an uptrend. Let's see. Ooh, lots of green there.
You might want to try to reload that, Al. That might be
yeah, that doesn't look right, does it?
That's a glitch.
Let's just try
that looks a little too funky for me there, my friend.
yeah, well, let's just go to 4 hour on a 4 hour chart. It is an uptrend on the 4 hour, and here's, you see it's bouncing right off of this area.
Try to hit the daily again, see if it corrects itself.
Nope.
Huh.
Did not correct itself.
So mine doesn't look like that, for the record.
Now you have that version 4. I never did load that version 4 indicator on here.
Oh.
Let me just do that right now. See if that makes a difference on this. View.
I've noticed that sometimes you just have to go back and forth between time frames to get them to load up properly occasionally.
Let me just put this one on here. Just load this on. Do you load them both together? Is that right?
No, get rid of you don't want version 3 on at all.
Okay.
You want to close that one out first.
Okay. So go to the indicator. Arrow version 3. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to come over here and load version 4. And we're going to allow DLL imports. I guess we can allow signals inputs. Yes, nothing. Everything's default there.
Yep, you're good.
And then load.
No, you want to just hit OK. You just want to hit OK. Yep.
There we go. And open. And
no,
we're going to open. Let's see, we need to.
That was from hitting the load button there.
Oh, okay, here we go. There we are. Now let me try it with the daily, see if that makes a difference. Nope, still does the same thing. Maybe I need to reload the chart entirely. Let me save this for a template. Saved.
It just made a major wick on the 15-minute, Al. It just left this massive wick.
Yep.
Like that is a telltale wick. Like I'm gonna find a way to put a trend line on that wick somehow.
Both up and down.
That was on the 15
Yeah.
minute, right?
That's a heck of a fractal there, Matt.
Are those fractals part of version 4?
No.
No, okay, I just have to have them drawn differently.
Good morning, Mike.
Let's see where we're going.
No, we're just trying to. He doesn't want to make it. The more he adds, the more questions people are going to start asking.
Yeah.
And just being straightforward. You know, we want to keep it simple. And if people want to use fractals, great, put it on yourself. But it doesn't. It's not something for newer people to just put on their chart and take a trade.
I'm not in love with the fractals. I do respect them, and I do think they are helpful.
Yeah, I won't take a trade just because there's a fractal.
I don't know that I'm going to keep them on all my charts all the time. I think I get tired of looking at them. But it's nice to be able to just pull the template up and have them there so you can take a quick look at them.
Christine, we can't hear you.
Okay.
Yep, we're losing you, Christine.
No, we can't hear you. You keep cutting in and out.
I'm gonna exit out and come back in.
Oh, there, we just heard you.
Can you hear me now?
Nope.
Yeah, you're really tinny. It's like you're a million miles away.
Anybody have any questions or comments while we're playing around with this stuff this morning?
So I have a question. With the version 4, how did CB, how did you get that a screen up on your monitor that showed it the way you were showing it is like a spreadsheet type thing?
Yeah, so it was sort of the announcement that put out, I guess not everybody fully understood. So in reality, there are two different things that are being rolled out by Nate here. What we have now is simply an improvement on 3.1, the indicator, the arrow indicator. So version 4 that we all now have is nothing more than an optimized version of 3.1 that's working better on the VPNs. The other thing that you saw that I don't have it right now, by the way, neither does Matt, is what we're calling the dashboard, the arrow dashboard, which is actually an EA, and that has not been released yet. So that will be something that you'll see. You just sort of pull it onto one chart, and it gives you that dashboard feel so that you don't have to have all the charts open all the time. And that there's, I guess, a little additional VPN optimization for everybody to be able to utilize that properly. So we're waiting on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Thank you.
Yep.
And for the people that aren't familiar with what an EA is, that basically stands for Expert Advisor. And that's a factor of MetaTrader 4 where programmers can program a strategy or a methodology to have it actually automatically take trades. That's a little bit, basically that's what Gearbox and Variable and Stratamus and all these others automated type softwares do, is they're actually expert advisors where they actually have a programming language that will go and do what you want it to do under certain parameters. And that's really the difference between an EA and an indicator. Indicator just basically tells you, oh, this is going on. It tells you, it may generate a line or a bar or something, or a moving average or whatever. The expert advisor is more of a program language that tells you how the strategy will operate. two different animals. And basically what he's doing is combining indicator with an expert advisor, which is basically that dashboard that CB was talking about.
Yeah, the dashboard's going to be a game changer once it's released to the public. It's going to make things very easy for everyone.
I'll see if I can talk to Nate and see if I can get a copy of that, while it's trying to be beta tested and work out the bugs with it. See if I can, it may help in my morning sessions here just to be able to call out some trades and things with different time frames. I can look at different time frames all at once.
All in one shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just like CB said, though, I don't have access to it anymore right now since they updated to version 4. They removed the dashboard from the VPS we were using, so we have to get that added again.
But you can see that this thing is just going sideways inside this range. And that's the range that we were pretty much, I'm thinking this is probably the range that we drew initially, where we had the down move, and then we came up, we tested that zone, which are those wicks all the way over to the left, came back down. So this is you can see where this pivot point came on down. This is still on the 50-minute chart. You see how this is where the buyers start coming back in again. So you can actually draw a trend line from this lower pivot low to the pivot off of this announcement. And it seems like it just sort of stopped right there. It made its little move. It came down. It got into all positions it wanted to get into right in there. And now it's just working its way back up. It may come back down and retest that. We don't know. We're not going to predict it. We're not going to pretend we know. But we are just going to surmise that we can maybe make a pattern out of something.
Actually, Justin's asking if anybody received some alerts a couple minutes back. Anybody receive any arrows?
I have not. The last one I saw, I think, was this British cat. I think it was the last one I've had. I'd take a look here. I'd take a look at your expert advisor and see if there's anything else. There's a Swiss yen at 15-minute. We can do that one yet. Let's take a look at that. Swiss yen. Take a look at Swiss yen. And that is nice bounce off we are getting a little bit of a bounce off of that. And let's see if we are in a uptrend or a downtrend. We are in an uptrend. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the new template on.
Yeah, I was almost wondering, I was looking at this myself. I just spilled, so I had a little cleanup to do, but I was almost looking at this as a potential bank induction move.
Oh, where'd my template go? There it is. Actually, I could probably get rid of some of these that I don't use anymore.
Yeah, Judson said he received US, Swiss, and US yen alerts.
Get rid of that one. I can get rid of.
The yen is really strong to the Swiss, though, so.
Let's see here. Let's see. Nope, that's the wrong one. Here we go. Here's arrow. Place it. Now we are in an uptrend. Let's get the up arrow. I have to just spend a little time on my charts today, I think. Getting things fine-tuned, get rid of the old and get the new put on here. But here's a nice little move down, came back up. We had a bounce arrow. Now this wasn't exactly a bounce arrow go because I had the arrow going in the wrong direction. But here was the bounce. Here is the up arrow. Now help me out here, CB. Would this be a bounce arrow go because it had to pull back first, then come back in again.
Right, it's not valid.
It's not valid. That's what I thought. It's not
But
valid.
that current down now, Al, I'll just mention that I have resistance at the top of the current money zone there.
Up here.
Yep. Even where that other, all those wicks are on that other top there. That's where it was created.
See, it says
Oh, you have 3-1 right now. You don't have 4.
Yeah, let me delete that. And let me put this one on here. I guess I didn't make the change properly. Indicator 4.0. Put 4.0 on. About. Common. Allow DLL imports. Inputs are default. And click OK. And I still don't have a money zone there.
Yeah. Matt, are you seeing a money zone? Are you looking at this chart by any chance?
I'm not. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with my accounts there. My demo account keeps on logging out.
So Al, what's interesting is in this case, our charts are pretty identical. Just missing that one resistance. It's interesting.
Okay, I think what I'm going to, I really can't, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to log on the NV charting system and see if that's where the difference is between the LCMFX and the MV.
Yeah.
And I can switch back and forth to the different accounts to see which one gives me the consistency. If it's, find out if it's the broker or if it's the feed, or see if we can narrow it down to where those differences are. Because there's significant differences between those two different accounts to where I think it's noteworthy.
I agree. And on the call yesterday with Jackie, who's using an entirely different broker, we were seeing some pretty important drastic differences between what she was seeing and what like Matt and I were seeing on NV. Or I'm not sure if Matt, you're using NV, but
yeah, there was pretty drastic differences.
And I think the thing to note is that until otherwise noted, trade what your chart has given you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Don't trade what someone else's chart's doing.
Yeah. And you really can't use it as a deal breaker, because if they're different, you could just deal break it in which direction do you deal break it. So I'm looking at this one right now from a overall technical standpoint that we're looking at. See, here's the day break. Here's the overnight high in my object list here. And I'm going to open. That went a lot smoother today. 118.16, 118.16. And we're going to go target 118.26. And stop 118.46. You see them on the charts so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to be looking at, this thing is in an uptrend, so I'm going to put my entry line, which is my blue line. I'll put that right at the base of these candles after the day break. And I would take the stop area, put that right at the lowest low before the day break, or before the money zone after the day break. And I would put my vertical line, bring that over to the current day, which is going to be the 18th. And I'm going to see where do we have a break of this line. This one kind of broke, it didn't close above it. And this one, here's the break right here. So here's where but it's in a contra trend trade. So didn't really like that whole scenario either. Here's the break of the money zone to the top side of the previous day's money zone. And we did get that break here earlier on. And we don't have a break to the downside of the money zone. So right now, yesterday's low has not been broken yet. And this is where we could be getting that bounce. So we could get a nice little move to the upside off of this. And I'd be more apt to take that. So we could get this back down to, say, 20 or 40 pips. Get a couple of zones below us. British USD. And get 20 pips up here. I'll be looking to see if we get anything coming down into, this is a projection, not a methodology, just a projection, but just looking to see where the yesterday's money zone gets broken and see if we get some sort of a signal to take it long after it gets down to that area. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the British USD. And we have a new chart on, indicator, let's see, templates, load, version 4. That's all you have to do is just load it onto one template, make a template, and then you get on the others. And right now we are in a, looks like it's in an uptrend, more green than red. We have a down arrow, which is contra trend. Now we are in the contra trend zone. It's after 8 o'clock, so we could actually, technically we could take this trade. I don't like taking anything that's not in the line with the moving averages, contra trend or otherwise. And right now the moving average is saying that you need to be taking this as a bounce off of here as opposed to looking at penetrating. It may penetrate it. Strong move up, had a little basing right here, strong move up again. This little area right in here is going to be significant. I'm going to go ahead and mark that. I'm going to draw a shape, my triangle, my rectangle. And I'm going to take this area right here. I'm going to draw it across. This is my drawing now, it's a different color. And this is a retest area right in here. This is going to be a retest. So it came in, it based, came back up, came back a little bit lower, came back up again. And right now, this thing, so there were some buyers that came back into this area. That's some of the buyers that were left down here. There's probably still a few more buyers sitting in here. You're sitting right at the 200 moving average. So you have one factor, one odd enhancer is to take it long because it's bouncing off of 200. Second odd enhancer is you've got all your moving averages moving in the right direction, going to the upside. Third odd enhancer is if this area holds, it's probably going to go back up again. And right now we have this is pretty much now we could be getting, this is our M formation here. We had the move up. Here's the zone, came back out, pulled back, lower. Here's the little trend line right up in here. And as you start watching these, as we start going through these over and over and over again, your eyes are going to start picking these things up. There's that little slight slant that, so here's your M formation. Here's the first part of the M, the left shoulder, the mid part of the M, the right shoulder, and then we had the break up here. But we're also having, this could be a trap right here. Here's the break of this pivot. But we have this zone right here we have to be worrying, taking consideration. Now if we can break through this zone right now, the next stop is going to be all the way down here. So British US, let's take a look at that one on our other charting system. And we're going to slide this over. I found out why it would slide over yesterday.
Oh, what was it?
When I had the VPS, when I had this blue screen up here for the VPS, I just had to make that a full screen out of the way, and then I could take it over. Learn something new every day. Every day is a learning experience. Okay, so here's our British USD. Here's the M that we were looking at. So here's my M harmonic that I can see. Here's the lower part of the M. Came back up, left shoulder, middle, right shoulder. You see the M? And now we're looking at possibly coming down. But it's got to break through this channel right in here. Same chart, different picture. Here's the retest zone. There's the retests. And you can see that if you look over here, just draw this back out a little bit closer, further, you see where there was a lot of action, came up, whipped up, passed and checked, couldn't pass it, passed it, couldn't check it. Came back down, pass and check. Here's a little pass, come back, rechecked it, came back down, straight up, based right in here, came up. There's going to be some buyers. There's going to be some activity. This is an area where there's a lot of activities, retesting the zone. And with that, I would be looking at wherever this thing gives us a fractal or a pivot low, or it comes into this area and gets rejected, then we could be looking and seeing that right now the dollar is stronger to the British pound by quite a bit. The dollar is the second currency of the pair, which means we have strength to the downside. Then we'll see if these things can flip over. Go to our 5-minute chart. Do the same thing. Looking at the same picture on the 5-minute. And you see it's got some of these are by significant zones, these Fibonacci, these red, green horizontal lines. Those are significant. You can see this thing, see, here's my green zone. Guess where I had my retest right here. It bounced off that green. This is basically between the green and the blue, that's basically your demand zone. Here's the lower demand zone, right between here. And then between the red and the blue is your supply zone. This, I'm just picking these red and blue areas from where it was the highest penetration. See, this one wasn't penetrated entirely yet. Up at the top. Make this supply. And right now we're going to wait till it comes down and see what it does in this area right here. It could stop right about here. It could come on down. But this is a harmonic pattern that we're looking at right now. Here's your M. Now, if we come back down, comes back in, test this, pulls back, retest again. This could give us a little bit of that A pattern that we talked about after the M. Here's the M. We could get an A pattern, drop, another A, drop. Then we look for our W to go back up again. And as we look here, we see where the come across over here, see where the last wick was. This is the bottom of this yellow zone. Once it breaks through that, there are no more wicks until just a little bit of a wick right here. But for the most part, it's a straight shot down to this area. This would be the next target zone over here. Well, it depends on how strong of a down move this thing has. Now, again, this is on a 5-minute chart, but you can see how strong this move up. Strong move up, basing, pull back a little bit, made a new high, give us our M formation. Now, it still has to get through this point right here. It still has to get through that. And so anyway, that's the analysis on that one. And that's really where we are right now. We're coming into that zone where it's going to have to make a decision. It's got a moving average right there. It's got some other zones right there. But I say if it can break through this, it's probably going to be heading on down to, that'd be my next target. And then you would have a nice little trade, and then it could maybe contra trend, but it would still be a nice potential trade. Any questions?
I have a request in the Q&A. If you could analyze the CAD yen on the 1 hour.
CAD yen. Let's take a look and see what the CAD yen's doing here.
Is it the 1 hour? Hang on. No, he didn't say 1 hour. I just assumed it was 1 hour. Anyways, there was a bag entry he bought. And now it's gone south, so he'd just like you to analyze it. It says normally CAD is much stronger than yen. Thank you. So I'm assuming it's a 15-minute then.
CAD yen. Okay, let's take a look at that.
Oh, it is the 1 hour.
It
Sorry.
is on the hour? CAD
Yeah.
yen on the 1 hour? Let's go to 1 hour here. It's probably going to see the same picture. It's going to be bouncing off of a moving average. We had on the 15-minute, we had a zone. Go back to 15-minute. Let me go back to my new template here while I'm in the process of changing these things around. Arrow 4, boom. Okay, so we are in a uptrend, 15-minute uptrend. Let's go through the whole analysis here. Up arrow, uptrend. You can see right now it's bouncing off. There's a zone right here. You got a 200 moving average right there. Let's go to our 1 hour chart, which is what the question was. Spread it out a little bit. And where we had the zone, where we had the 200 moving average, which was up here, we had a zone right up here. You can see we're still respecting it on the 1 hour. It doesn't have a zone. It doesn't have the moving average is way down here on the 1 hour. But you can see it's building zones up, and we have a zone right here. It built another one on the 15-minute. Here's our uptrend. Here's a pivot low. Here's the pivot low. Came back up, rejected it. I'd be looking to draw it from this pivot. Connect the dots on that one. So here's your anchor. Here's your first hit. Come back down, see if it gets a retest. We may get a penetration of the moving average, but that zone should hold. We have a little bit of a rally, basing, rallying. See how this wick came down to retest this little zone right here? That's where that green zone was developed. So it's still in an uptrend. It's still, this is a pullback. It didn't make a new high. It didn't close up higher. Here was the close. It came back down, wicked up. So right now you've got some sellers coming into this area right in here. So this could be an area of, this could be a little bit of a problem area. And if you go to a, I'll bet there's probably going to be a red zone somewhere up around the top of that. Yep. Right up in here is the red zone. So right now it's sandwiched in between going sideways. And the zone on this one is, so basically it's going sideways on the, it's on a 1 hour chart. It's still basically inside a 30 pip range here. Enough to get 5 pips if you work it right, 5 or 10 pips. I don't take anything that doesn't give me at least an opportunity to make 15 pips. And I usually only go for still 2/3 of that. That's about as low as I'll go. But right now, from a swing trade, it's probably still a long. You should be okay. Hope that answers your question. British CAD. Question about the 1 hour British CAD. Let me get this one back to make sure my charts are all set up right. Yeah, everybody should have that indicator for version 4. I would urge everybody to get your charts loaded up with that, especially if you're having VPS problems. See if that helps solve your problems that you've had. So we're looking at the British CAD we want to take a look at. That's one we just did, I think. We did it earlier. Bouncing off is one we're looking at, bouncing off the trend line. We're still projecting that. Here's that announcement that we had. Nice strong move down to the bottom of that. We'll see what it does here. Still have another zone right below it. So I'm not taking this thing short. And alongside, it is in a downtrend, but it's got to get through a lot of this. It's got a lot of green to get through first. And let's see, British CAD. Let's see if I can look at a different charting system. Yeah, this one we basically talked about this one earlier with Fibonacci. We did Fibonacci's, we did demand zones, we did all kinds of things with this one. It's basically in the lower 25% of a upward channel. That's why we have this little. See if we get a bounce off of this.
Al,
Yes.
last night on Nate's call, they got into fractals, and Nate had said that he doesn't use fractals unless they're at the true pivots, like a larger pivot, rather than like you see where it's kind of in a tunnel in a way, going across there. That he doesn't give that any credence as he does when you have something more substantial. So he said not to get necessarily hung up on the fractals.
Yeah, and I certainly understand that point, and I agree with that point. Unless the fractal is inside a green or red zone, I wouldn't give it any support, other than maybe make it as a deal breaker for some other type of strategy that you're looking at. And all things being equal, you may want to say, well, there's a fractal there, but the fractals be outside of these green and red zones don't really carry a lot of weight. You'll see they're all over the place. So which one are you going to listen to? Which one are you going to believe? These you can kind of put a little bit more weight on because they're actually in a zone. Anything other than that, I would not put a lot of weight onto it. You'll probably just get yourself into trouble. Have other factors that are going to be deciding for you rather than the fractals, and even like I said, I mean, if you see them in a nice zone and you see a nice arrow following it, like with this one, here's fractal, the series of fractals came back out, gave you an up arrow. Here's a bounce arrow, go. We are in a downtrend. That would be contra trend. But they still be enough to give you maybe not your 20 pips, but might be enough to give you 10. This one probably gave you 20, possibly. Let's see. Shoot, that one gave you 50 pips, 30 pips, 50 pips. So, and that's something to maybe consider. I would say note those, make some notes on that, and as you look through your charts, see if you can find some consistency to like how many pips will you get if you get a fractal and an arrow. Is that a pretty strong indicator that that's going to be a good trade for you? Do some homework. As Matt would say, do volumes of trades. But I mean, these are already drawn; they're already there. You could just go back on the chart and just see it. Okay, how many times, as you look back, see how many times did I get a fractal that would hit the next zone? Like here's one that didn't. A fractal didn't really hit the next zone before it came back and retested. So, but did you have a bounce? Did you have the arrow? You had a bounce. Here's the arrow. Did you get 20 pips off of it? And you probably don't even need the fractals to be able to confirm that. But maybe you didn't get the arrow and you had the fractal and you had it. Again, you can play around with it a little bit. Do some homework, do some analysis, and just see if you can find some consistency enough to where if you get 70, 80, 90% positive feedback from that analysis, you may want to start thinking about maybe trading it. And we have about 5 minutes left before the 9 o'clock session. I'm not sure who's running it today. Any ideas there, Matt? Who's running the session today?
Potentially myself. We'll see what's going on. I know CB and I will probably be in there, one way, shape, or form.
Yep.
So we'll do that. I'm gonna go get ready for that real quick.
Why don't you go set up? I'll come over and join you here.
That'd be great. All right. We'll see you sooner than later, my friend.
Okay.
Hey, Al.
Yes.
Just before I forget, when you have a chance when we're done with the calls, check your Telegram from me. Just had a question
okay.
for you.
I will look at it right now while we're waiting for something to pop up here.
No worries. Thanks.
Actually, we did have an alert for the pound yen a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, I was looking at that one actually. It's a really intriguing information that might be the beginning of a downward market maker cycle, but nothing to really trade on quite yet. But it's an interesting chart for sure.
Yeah, CB, I'm free pretty much all day today, so just whenever we can get together, we can work on that.
Okay, appreciate it, Al.
We can, in fact, you want to just do it after the 12 o'clock session. When we're done with that one, we can just go right to it.
Perfect. Yeah, Al, take a look at the pound yen just because we don't got much else going on. It's not. It's a count. It would be, there was an arrow that would be a counter trend trade. And there's a lot of reasons not to take it. It's just an interesting, really nice information there that if you look back a little bit, this could be the beginning of a market maker cycle there.
That's almost like a classic M right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Move up. Here's the left shoulder. Here's the middle, right shoulder. Boom, right came down. Testing the moving. You can see this 200 moving average is being well respected.
Right. If you scale back a little bit, to me, it looks like we just ended an upward trend market maker, and this might be initiating the beginning of a downward market maker, right? Just by looking at the chart.
Looking at over to the left more?
Yeah, you just have to scale back. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You see how we've had a pretty significant upward movement. There's a W there of some sorts, and we had some V's and
actually
now
this one looks pretty good there. This one is a little bit foggy.
Yeah.
This looks like a nice little strong move down.
Yeah.
Broke through this. Now this zone, see, this is what I don't understand is that we have this zone that I can see where the zone was still holding here. Here the zone was penetrated, but the zone's still there. Now did it just get reset?
That's what I'm guessing by that other downward move right there where you're just about where your mouth.
Because this one, it got penetrated.
Yeah, why is it still there? It's a good question.
And, yeah, I mean, I would think maybe this would have gone away, but maybe it just redrew itself. I don't know. Obviously, there is a lot of activity right in this area right here. This was a hit. Here was a hit, rejected. Came back down, rejected. Rejected the whole zone, came up, rejected. Penetrated, held, rejected. So there's a lot of rejection going on in this. It's like a bad relationship. But you have a nice little trend here. I'm looking at this for nice little trend. I'd be looking at that as a potential trend where you have higher lows. And I'd be looking at this area as a potential for higher highs. So let's see if we can draw something that makes sense. I like this one. Let's strike this one right here to here to there. There was a little bit of a breach. Here's where I would be looking at. So I like this as a trend line. Here's the anchor. Here's a hit that kept penetrating, couldn't close above it. Rejected, came back up, retested the trend line, rejected it. And then it came up, and here's the trap. And now we'd be looking at possibility. Now we do have, also, if you'll take notice, and keep this file list in the back of your things to kind of remember. when you have a trend, usually before the turnaround, you'll see the trend start to steepen a little bit. So here's our nice, easy, lollygagging trend. But now right from here, it came back down, made a sharper. So from here to here to here, you'll see the angle has steepened. And oftentimes you'll see that happening just before the turnaround. Here's the anchor, here's the hit, there's the hit. You see how this trend line is steeper than this one? This is oftentimes I'll look at this as signifying this is getting near the end of the move. It pushes down, goes up, pushes down, goes up. Here's our there's a high, here's a lower high right there. This is the one that Nate talks about a lot with at the end of the M or the end of the W right there. Now that's not the wedge, that's just the lower highs at the extreme. And then it pulls back. So it would not surprise me to see this trend line if we get a pass and check on here, you probably have room to the downside to pick up a few pips. There's about 35 pips to the downside you got your 20 pips, but you're going to be getting these bounces off of here. So be careful with that one. That could kind of get you. You might be able to squeeze out 5 or 10 pips on that. But having said that, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up, give you guys a chance to get a cup of coffee and catch the next session. And any other questions before we go?
No, thank you.
Nope.
Yeah, good analysis there, Al. Thanks.
Okay. All right. So we will see everybody maybe next door. Thanks for coming in. Again, we appreciate every one of you. Appreciate the questions. Your questions and comments are what helps make this room what it is. Just remember, this is your room. This is your room to learn and to get more comfortable with trading. Our job here is just to help you do that. And having said that, thanks again, CB. Thanks, Eva, Christine. Matt's already gone to set up the other room, and we'll see everybody next door.
Thanks, Al.
Take care, and I'll see everybody tomorrow. We'll be here tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday, so tomorrow's Friday, and unless our storm knocks my internet out, I'll be here tomorrow morning. We're supposed to have some stormy weather today, so we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
All right, take care, everyone.
Thanks, Al.